Two rockets, two titans, both pushing the very limits of human engineering. On one side, NASA's Space Launch System, the SLS, a massive, government-backed rocket designed to carry astronauts to the moon and beyond. On the other, SpaceX's Starship Booster 15, the heart of Elon Musk's vision to take humanity to Mars and make us a multiplanetary species. But here's the burning question. Is Booster 15 actually more powerful than NASA's SLS? And if it is, what does that mean for the future of space exploration? Let's break this down step by step. First, let's understand the basics. NASA's SLS has been in development for over a decade. It's a heavy-lift rocket designed for the Artemis program, which will take astronauts back to the moon for the first time in over 50 years. Standing 98 meters tall, it's built using technology that dates back to the space shuttle era, like the RS-25 engines and massive solid rocket boosters. It is powerful, no doubt, and represents the continuation of NASA's long legacy.
Now compare that to SpaceX's Starship Super Heavy, in this case, Booster 15. This rocket is a beast in every sense. At 121 meters tall, Starship and its booster together tower over the SLS. It's powered by 33 Raptor engines, arranged in a circular cluster at the base. And while the SLS is designed for a handful of missions, SpaceX's Starship is designed for reusability and mass production, the equivalent of turning space travel into something as routine as flying an airplane. Now let's talk about raw power, the thrust. NASA's SLS Block 1 produces about 8.8 million pounds of thrust at liftoff. That's more than the Saturn Z, which took humans to the moon. But here's where it gets jaw-dropping. SpaceX's Booster 15 is capable of generating around 16.7 million pounds of thrust. That's nearly double. Think about that for a moment. Booster 15 can unleash a force greater than anything humanity has ever built. When SpaceX fired up Booster 15 during its static fire test, the ground literally shook. The engines roared with such intensity that even from miles away, the sound was deafening. That test wasn't even full throttle, yet it proved that Booster 15 could deliver unprecedented power. But thrust is just one part of the story. What matters next is payload capacity, how much each rocket can actually carry into space. The SLS Block 1 can carry about 95 metric tons to low Earth orbit. The upgraded Block 2 version, which is still in development, may carry up to 130 metric tons. Impressive, right?
Now look at Starship. With Booster 15, Starship is projected to carry up to 150 metric tons in its reusable configuration. And if used in an expendable mode, estimates suggest it could push beyond 250 metric tons. That's nearly double what SLS can achieve at its best. In terms of raw carrying power, Starship is in another league. But here's where things get really interesting. NASA's SLS is completely expendable. Every single launch costs billions of dollars, and once it flies, the engines and boosters are discarded forever. It's a one-and-done rocket. Starship, on the other hand, is being designed to be fully reusable. Imagine this, a 70-meter-tall booster launching into space, then coming back down and being caught by giant steel arms on the launch tower, only to be refueled and flown again. If SpaceX can perfect this, the economics of spaceflight will be transformed. Instead of $2 billion per launch, Starship could bring the cost down to under $10 million per flight. That's the equivalent of going from custom-built cars for billionaires to mass-produced commercial airliners. So the numbers speak for themselves. In thrust, payload, and cost efficiency, Booster 15 and Starship have the edge. But let's not dismiss NASA's SLS so quickly. It already has a successful launch under its belt, Artemis 1 in 2022. That mission sent the Orion spacecraft around the moon, proving the rocket works. Starship, meanwhile, is still in testing. Booster 15 is promising, but it hasn't yet taken astronauts or cargo into orbit. And that's the key difference. One rocket is proven, the other is potential.
Now let's talk about their missions. NASA's SLS is focused on Artemis. It will carry astronauts to the moon, helping to establish a sustainable human presence there. The moon will serve as a stepping stone for deeper exploration, possibly even Mars. SpaceX's Starship has a bigger dream. Elon Musk envisions fleets of starships carrying hundreds of people at a time, along with supplies, habitats, and technology to build entire cities on Mars. Where SLS is a stepping stone, Starship is the long highway stretching out to other planets. But both rockets have challenges. NASA's SLS is criticized for being expensive and outdated. It relies heavily on legacy technology, and because it's expendable, the cost per launch will always remain sky high. SpaceX's Booster 15 and Starship face engineering challenges. Landing and reusing the largest rocket ever built is an incredibly difficult task. Explosions, delays, and setbacks have already been part of the journey. But SpaceX has shown time and again, with Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy, that it learns fast, iterates quickly, and eventually succeeds. So who really wins in this showdown? If we go by raw numbers, thrust, payload, and reusability, Booster 15 clearly outclasses NASA's SLS. It's bigger, stronger, and cheaper. But if we go by proven reliability, SLS has already delivered, while Booster 15 is still proving itself.
The truth is, these rockets don't need to compete. They serve different purposes. NASA's SLS is about returning to the moon under a government program, continuing the legacy of Apollo. SpaceX's Booster 15 and Starship are about building the future, creating a pathway to Mars and beyond. Maybe the real answer isn't which rocket is stronger, but how both together push humanity forward. One rocket builds the bridge back to the moon, while the other builds the highway to Mars. And when the history books are written, we might remember the SLS as the rocket that brought us back to the moon. But we may remember Booster 15 as the rocket that changed everything. The one that opened the door to making humanity a multiplanetary species. So, is SpaceX's Booster 15 more powerful than NASA's SLS? The answer is yes, on paper, by almost every metric. But the story isn't finished. Until Booster 15 flies successfully, NASA's SLS still holds the crown as the rocket that has already proven itself in space. But make no mistake, the day Booster 15 completes its first full orbital mission, the balance of power will shift forever, and humanity's future in space may never be the same.